likely after that level 6. So right here, both
No
through.
jungle bans.
Yone has gone through. There you go.
0 jungle bans as well. Like, there are 0. We've been banning
Nefiri?
Vi and Nefiri this entire series, and now, in this spot, we're letting them all out on the Rift. So the Yone is going to be the B1 pick for XQW. We do markedly see like a Draven ban go the way of Shaoye. The Nico ban's still on the table, but with Sejuani up, they have, you know, Vi, Nefiri. We are prioritizing Taeyoon's Kaisa and the Rel. So an interesting R1, R2. Not what I was expecting with the champions left up here for World Elite.
I'm expecting some misfortune to potentially even come through
Especially
for
with the Rel, right?
LGD right here, especially. So I'm wondering right here, Alistar, Leona, Rakan, Nautilus, Rel out. These are the primary carries that you want to be pairing up with things like the misfortune. However, the caveat here is that you still have things like Camille, that is very unconventional as a bot laner, and also
Poppy.
things like the Maokai and the Poppy, yeah, that you can put down together with misfortune. I didn't necessarily mention the Poppy as much because it doesn't CC long enough for like misfortune to get a good bullet time, right? But it does work because it stops Rel from going in.
Yeah, I'm just trying to like find tankier support options that aren't heal champions that are support by this point.
That's an engage though.
That is an engage, and I like picking it now because if you let support slip through the second phase, you're getting really slim on tankier supports that you can play through. So the Braum comes across. Sejuani not going to be paired up with the Yone. Climber's going to take advantage of the fact that Vi sneaks through for a draft. Never hate that with how pivotal this champion has been in the LPL all split long.
I was just gonna say it. I feel like LGD are just picking up, scooping whatever has been banned away, and it doesn't necessarily make that much sense together. Like Vi and Braum, Vi and Yone, not necessarily the pairings you're looking for. That don't necessarily act together very nicely, even though you've got double melee champions. And you've got the Braum passive. Maybe you could be looking for an early invade, but they don't really help in that early invade because they're both melee. They can't reach too far forward. And as you can see, W here, very slippery champions. The Aurora that can be caught very easily. The Kaisa that can literally swap sides on a team fight in just one button click, basically. And I'm expecting, I really want to see WE go towards more of a facilitating role when it comes to the jungle. Knowing Monki, it's not gonna work, but looking at things like Sejuani, looking at things like Maokai that can really pin down targets in these fights could just be the key right here.
Want to shout out the Smolder bans. We've seen them a couple of times. Leave. Awesome game for NIP. I mean, it went 5 and he was able to rescue that opening bout with the Smolder. So no Smolder stacking. Like the Wukong ban a lot here is you're talking about, you know, facilitator, but Monki still likes to brawl. Wukong can kind of play both of those roles, so that's a pretty big ban to come off the board. Sejuani is still up. Do we think this is an R5 Sejuani? Is Monki going to commit to full facilitator?
I feel like this might just be a Nocturne right here from Monki. I want to go even more crazy and look at things like Rengar and Kha'Zix that really work well together with Kaisa down in the backline. You've got Karis onto that Aurora, so that mid-jungle synergy could really work. But I kind of believe this is most likely going to be something like a Nocturne, which I don't necessarily like too much here. However, looking at the Shen, it's even more worth. Because Shen TPing into a fight or ulting into a fight, lights off, you don't necessarily know exactly where you're TPing into, where to flash taunt forward, so I feel like maybe, just maybe here, Nocturne has a lot more uses than just diving into the backline.
I'm very excited though for this, you know, you talked about like picking up pieces that have been banned away in the series for LGD. I do like the idea
We forgot about that.
We did also forget about Poppy, right, in the jungle. Vi ulting with a Shen on top of her and a Fate Sealed layering. That is a deadly combo if you can get it off. Also very fun one, the Shen delivery system. R5 Poppy comes across here for Monki. Really good cancel. I mean, just think about all the dashes that LGD are going to rely on from this top side to really get any sort of sense of a fight going.
The only thing that I'm worried about when it comes to LGD is that most of your eggs are in Shaoye's basket onto this Tristana. Very hard shoving bot lane. I love Tristana into Kaisa because you can literally pin her under a tower. That's the reason why Nico is so good with Kaisa, because she disguises the fact that Kaisa gets dunked up from absolutely every other AD carry that's now meta over in the bot lane, right, and pushed underneath their tower. And right here, Braum counters Rel. Tristana counters Kaisa, so bot lane priority is going to be huge. I'm just worried that there's not enough early game damage from the side of LGD, and that late game, you only have that AD with Vi, Yone, and Tristana, and that Cassante is gonna be to the brim together with Poppy on that armor. So how do you break that?
How do you break through the top side for WE? How do you break through series point from World Elite? LGD have already done what the other Nirvana team could, taken a game off a Group Ascend team. But that is a very, very small victory in the wider picture of the stakes of this game for WE, looking to, for the second time in about a month, push LGD down into Group Nirvana. Are you going to take that, or are you going to fight back? That's the question, as LGD go into what I would consider their biggest single game 2025 so far.
Absolutely. You take it a game at a time, right here. LGD being down a game. This is their time to come back, as we're going straight into that game number 4, which could potentially be our last game of the series if WE manage to secure that one.
Cheering on two teams ready to do a battle. Starting to see the effects of Fearless have an impact on these compositions. Very far from so many of the identities we've seen throughout all of the games we've played in Split 2 so far. Early warding already being waged here as Sasa is going to be able to start that Raptor ward. With trickery though from LGD on the bot side of the river. Monki and Karis positioning themselves to allow Vampire to swing over and clear out that ward. So it's going to be another game where Monki's not going to have to worry about tracking on his clear from Climber.
Really fancy as well. W's through the wall, doesn't just walk there. Saves time as well. So Monki pathing from top to bot. I don't know how that's gonna work out for him, because for Vi right here, it's a pretty done deal. The path over the bot side. You've got Tristana thrown into Kaisa Rel. You're definitely winning that 2 versus 2. Away from the push. Priority, shoving the wave, keeping Kaisa under tower, right? So definitely a one fight on the bot side river for the side of Climber as he chooses to path towards the bot. Now, I wonder, Monki has done this plenty of times where he just does either Krugs red into Gromp for that quick level 3 by leaving a camp behind, or Raptors into bot side, into back to top side to do that Scuttle Crab himself. So I'm looking to see if there's potentially an opportunity, knowing that Tristana and Brom are pushing and that Vi is still top of the map, to maybe get in a gang. But pushing in that wave, most likely a ward is going to go down right here from LGD.
Well, haven't gone for it just yet. Level 2 going to tick over. Monki not going to go for that level 3 gang just yet. Maybe doing what you talked about last time, Trouble, just staying by the bottom lane.
Slow and steady.
In case anything. Yeah, and that's what we like. WE measure when to go all out. We don't need to do it early on and just fight for the sake of fighting. Maybe the mid laners are not necessarily taking that same exchange. Neither lane are, because we're just perma-trading on level 3. But Monki does complete that blue buff and now returns back to his top side camps. Start the red buff and the Krug. So the least active we've seen these junglers in their first couple levels really all series long.
I mean, Monki realizes right here that there's no way he's fighting for that botless Scuttle Crab, right? That's why he started Raptors on both sides, that on top side as well, which is where his uncontested, Scuttle Crab will be, as the resets coming through from Karis as well. Shaoye and YCX are gonna push down that wave, as predicted, and right here they don't even need to stay around, as Climber is going to do the same as he did with Lee Sin. However, right now it's going to be after the 2 quadrants, so he gets the extra crystal in his inventory, and he's going to head towards the top of the map to contest that top lane Scuttle Crab off of Monki's hands. There's no smite for Monki.
There is no smite, but I don't know if he's going to get there. One auto is going to save Monki. Yeah, he's going to get the Scuttle Crab. Also going to spot Climber trying to stop that take. Timer's forced down, and that bot Scuttle Crab is for the taking. Both junglers, though, have camps respawning on this timer. No love for the bot Scuttle, Trouble.
What's happening with Climber though? Like he wrapped around his jungle, he's
Yeah.
waiting for his Grom to pop up. So I'm seeing Monki here. Like, is there a jungle? He just goes and double skulls. I mean, he's pinging it, right? Like they see Vi still on the tops of the map, and right now Taeyoon and Vampire have taken control of the bottom of the map. Monki right here is just gonna double scuttle from a situation where Climber should have been ahead.
Or at the very least, Climber could have just traded the scuttles, but this single reset tech to get this long-sworded Ruby Crystal, which we feel like is always to try and brawl, but it's another game where either Monki doesn't fall for the trap of forcing a fight early with an item disadvantage, or this time around, I mean, Climber just doesn't find it, and now he's in a deficit, tempo-wise and, well, camp-wise.
Yeah, that kind of sucks right here for the Vi. When you're playing the Vi, you're looking for that quick level 6 into capitalizing into somebody or taking a summoner's fall away. Not gonna be the case quite yet for Climber. I feel like back-to-back for like 2 games, Climber's trying to outsmart Monki on the map, and Monki's just like chilling. He's just not falling for it, right? I feel like also the pathing right here from Monki was easy to abuse, because Climber used the time that Monki went back and forth, right? He started Raptors, went bot side, walked back to top side, and these extra seconds from walking back and forth to your 2 quadrants, right, do really matter. So Climber just took that into account and tried to play for that top lane Skull Crab, and he was just quite a little bit too late for that.
Here we go. Ultimate's down in the mid lane. Between worlds. I think Karis is just using it so he can get control of the mid wave. And he will. Goes back to neutral. Impressive how WE though. I want to see them build on their tempo timings. That's what really felt like it was the difference in Game 3. Punishing resets, looking for cross maps, but taking free autocons. Is that what really pushes WE over the edge in this matchup when LGD already showed in Game 2 that they can clearly go scrap for scrap if we want to just have a bloody kill fest of a game?
I feel like right here, it's much safer for WE if they don't scrap, actually. I mean, you can definitely use the Poppy plus Aurora. I feel like it's a very potent duo, right? Yone plus Vi, not really a duo that you want to be playing around. Not really great at, like, setup or fighting together, etc. But, like, you've got so much setup with the Poppy plus the Aurora. Like, you can play through them in the early game. However, we mentioned it before, the entirety of the set of LGD is pure attack damage, right? You start stacking that armor onto the Poppy, onto the Cassante, onto the Relic. Later on, it will be impossible to penetrate that front line for the set of LGD. And even though Tristana is a hyper carry, she does do a lot of damage. And slowly but surely, her range does get longer and longer. She's one of the most difficult AD carries to pilot around fights, because if she gets too close, she ends up getting burned.
Just trying to really gain all that information. We talked about Climber trying to outsmart Monki. Well, Monki just has a bead on all these clears coming across from Climber. And has the Scuttle Crab coming up soon on that bot side. The Dragon is still there to play for. Like you pointed out, you can really afford to play this early game slow and steady, which still feels so weird to be saying out loud, knowing how this series kicked off. But now
WE slow and steady, what?
Yeah, what are we talking about by this point? Maybe we'll see with these ultimates coming online. Climber trying to force the issue, even if the Vi-Yone combination isn't super deadly by this point. At the very least, this is a really good setup to get XQW on top of a target with Fate Sealed. Guarantee that ultimate lines up. Kind of like how we've always seen Vi and Abessa interact.
Let's see if that's gonna come true. I mean, you pin someone down with Vi, they're CC'd for long enough for Shen to come through, right? And Yone, as you pointed out as well. So we'll see who the point and click champion is going to be from the side of WE. Looking at it here, looking at it from the side of WE, it's most likely going to be either Karis or Taeyoon, right? There is no other reliable champion that you can pin down and kill, because they're going to be too tanky with time being. However, Vampire and Taeyoon just about in fog of war, waiting for Cube to get dive. The second the show LGD have to back off.
Yeah, we talked about how these fights early looked like teenagers throwing tantrums. That looked like teenagers trying to start a street ball, and the vice principal pulled up to try and clean things up. We need to clean things up. Clean combos there from Monki. Keeper's verdict up. Slam into the wall. Flash out of Climber. I also see the heal expended from YCX with a speed boost because a ghost-bound Taeyoon was flying in looking for a scrap that he's been missing, I feel like, since the opening games of this series.
WE, I'm sorry, I wasn't familiar with your slow and steady game. I was expecting 10 kills per minute bangers, which we did get, honestly enough, in game number 1 and game number 2. But right here, the series is on the line, their playoffs life is on the line, and a group ascent spot for split number 3 is on the line. They do have a very nicely scaling team. They've got a pretty effective front to back later on. The slower they play this game, the easier it will be. Vikana falls off.
Oh,
Karis?
XQW gets the Q3 knockup into Fate Sealed. But right now, as you point out, the Yone doesn't have enough damage to finish off even a kill that felt as free as that. Karis lose some plates though for the time being, and obviously down his flash. So finally, we start seeing some sort of movement between these two teams on the map. But back to something you said earlier, and I really want to reinforce that we talked about at the top of the show. While obviously a winner of the series gets a spot in playoffs, it really feels like the bigger goal to attain for winning this best of 5 is more split ascend to finish off the LPL year.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting a spot with all the grades once again. I feel like WE have had such an up and down sort of road, changing their jungler in 2025, bringing Monki in, fighting with LGD earlier on to make it into that group ascent, making it into that group ascent. Everyone expected them to be last. They take 5 series back to back to back to back to back in their home arena, silencing the doubters. 7 and 11 is a pretty good story to have in group ascent with all the insanely good teams.
Yeah.
And right here, continuing your road towards the playoffs. Obviously, you might end up facing an AL or top esports, depending on who they choose, right? But it's one step at a time, and WE have to go past LGD one more time to gain for once more their group ascent status from LGD.
Got one more game to do it. And yes, 7 and 11 is a very, middling record in the LPL, but compared to where people had WE pegged as a squad, going into Split 2, able to be middle of the pack, beat up on the NIP, the Weibo, the Thunder Talks, the FPXs of Group Ascend was a huge positive sign, and they need to be in that same arena, competing against those same teams to try and show that they can build what could be a future playoff contender. LPL future. They've got the youth in Monki and Vampire here already. Just about building on that, and the best way to build on that is to play against the best of the best. But right now, LGD is the best opponent they're going to get in this play-in tournament. We still have our quietest game of the series. 12 minutes in, 0 kills, and 0 real fights even.
Look at that restraint on Monki. He saw Vi. I was really expecting that E to come through onto Climber. Didn't quite. Oh, nice dodge from XQW.
All right. Yeah, that's enough. You know what helps the 0 kill count? How slippery both these teams can be. With the Grubs being the prevailing thought here for LGD. They secured those for the first Dragon, and Tristana with Grubs can really burn through turret plates. Mid-tier 1 turret with plates up, down that low is a pain point that LGD certainly have to revisit.
Yeah, I think it's a Yordle thing. Ziggs, Tristana, they really take towers pretty fast. They do like their explosives, I want to say. And you leave Tristana alone with the towers, it's definitely going to take it down pretty fast. Sorry?
Intriguing crowd. Intriguing crowd they are. All those things, and then certain loves explosives.
Yep.
It would be a bit alarming to anybody just reading through that list you just gave about Yordles.
Oh, XQW, not like this. Not again.
Oh, yep. There's the flash from Monki. Here's the aggressiveness we expect from WE. Oh, does get the Fate unsealed out, though. Able to survive once more. Just costs, all of his abilities and his flash. But, hey, Shaoye gets another wave into the mid-tier 1. Big win.
I think most importantly, I thought it was going to cost them the Dragon right here. But due to Shaoye putting pressure onto the mid lane tier 1, their mid lane tier 1 going down pre-minute 14 would have been absolutely disastrous for Team WE right here. So they have to defend that, which means they lose a lot of control inside that Dragon back to LGD. And I'm still looking, man. I'm still looking for that first blood. That dragon is gonna get started right here by Climber. He's got Yone back down onto that bot lane. He's got Shaoye perma pushing that mid, but Monki is in the river. He's currently all alone as Vampire and Taeyoon are right behind him.
Monki waiting for the rest of his team. Sasa's gonna teleport in. Standing 9 is available for Sasa. It's Cube that's actually teleporting in. Keeper's verdict up for Monki. Is he try the 50-50? No, Cease assist comes through, but Monki gets the dragon. Now the fight finally begins. It's Shaoye getting the first kill onto Monki, but what a pull away from Cube. Takes down Shaoye, and now Climber's gonna have to try and carry the burden. They get the Kaisa taken away. Can XQW escape and survive? Because Cube is going crazy in the all-out form. The Aurora singing through for Karis is the healthiest carry left up for WE. And now it's a top lane tank slugfest, but it's Karis that is the victor on the back end of the fight. The one to seal the fate of LGD. Dragon kills everything. WE break open the killless bout in Game 4.
All I have to ask anyone watching is, did you miss K'Sante over in the top lane? Cube right there. Not only does he defend his AD carry, but most importantly, he splits the team fight into two fronts. Allows Karis to clean up the fight on one side, helps Taeyoon, but also keeps the Shen out of commission in this fight. And let's watch this one more time. Cube is going to TP in. They will find Monki from the side of LGD instantly as he falls forward to try and secure that dragon. And what's Karis? He'll try to split the fight. Taeyoon will dive into the background with his ult to solidify the kill, but then he'll get caught out by Shen and also the Vi. What does Cube do? He splits apart the fight. He keeps Climber and Sasa onto one side of the map as Karis clears the other side together with Vampire.
For a team world elite roster that has been so driven by their jungler, backed up by their reliable AD carry, their ever-aggressive support, awesome to see that right now, all 5 kills WE have are on their solo lanes. Karis and Cube really just pushing the ceiling of potential this team has in this series, but obviously it's always Monki that's hunting for these kills, and now with the gold lead they have, he's getting ever more aggressive, but the Buster Shot keeps Shaoye alive. So the first Poppy Kaisa dive combination, not gonna punish with a kill, just the flash off of that Tristana.
Shaoye's still looking for that mid lane tower. He just knows it's 2 auto attacks away. Nothing more. 1.5 thousand gold onto his Tristana right now. And again, we said it from the beginning. LGD have put all of their eggs into Shaoye's basket for this particular game. One item of Tristana, very close to the second item as well. Looking like an Infinity Edge in his inventory. He takes that tower down. It's going to be a huge boost in gold. Getting that second item, he could potentially be looking for that second fight at Dragon 2 minutes from now, or at Herald with a 2-item Tristana. It could be a huge swing towards LGD.
Still gonna have to worry about Cube though. Talk about the armor stacking. How often is K'Sante just gonna mark this Tristana and run at him just like Monki is? Trying to get it all done on his lonesome. One more auto shift to it. He doesn't even need the buckle. Gets the bleed from the red buff. Monki soloing out Shaoye, the big bad of LGD. What does the swing look like on the bot side? LGD are gonna overload with XQW and Climber. They will find that first brick. So mid-tier 1 on its last legs, bot tier 1 already cut down for size.
Yeah, Shaoye stayed a little bit too long in that mid lane. Again, he had his size on this tower, but I think he overfixated on it. Ends up getting punished by Monki right there. LGD do reply with a bot lane tier 1, which is pretty big as well, getting a little bit of injection of gold into their carries right here. Still 1,500 gold lead for that Tristana. Infinity Edge completed. 1 minute for next Dragon. Let's watch this one more time again. Half HP from Shaoye. What you saw previously. He sees Monki going to the top side. He thinks he's safe because Herald is up, right? And he could be starting that Herald. But the flash, Hex Flash coming through, pins Shaoye down. He can't jump because the W was active. And right here, he does die from the red buff, but he also had his passive up.
Yeah, good old buckle.
He would have died anyway, yeah.
Gold's still scarily close. What's most fun about that is two, worrying parts of either comp are really much online. Shaoye, IE's done. This is a 2-item Tristana, but the armor stacking for K'Sante, along with the slipperiness of this Aurora, nearly 2 items as well. It's going to make Shaoye's job so much more difficult. Rift Herald value, going to even up the mid-tier 1 turrets, and more importantly, give WE first track into this river with our first Cloud Soul Drake spawning in mere seconds.
Yeah, this is the time for Shaoye to really pop off. Again, 2 items onto this Tristana. However, armor has been purchased through Cube as well onto this Cassante. Rel is quite tanky as well, so it's going to be very, very difficult already to break through WE's front line. And even though I'm always a big advocate for Black Cleaver on AD junglers, it's becoming really difficult here because Vi is not going to survive that long for Black Cleaver to actually have any effect in these fights. If anything, I'd like to see Climber go towards something like a Sterex to just solidify the fact that he lives a little bit longer, and then we can get a little bit of that armor pen potentially through a Lord Doms coming through Shaoye's Tristana right here, especially since he's 1k up. Onto his counterpart Taeyoon. If you look at the inventories, we've got Steel Caps and Poppy, you've got Bramble, you've got Sunfire, Bramble on top lane as well. It's going to be really, really difficult to break through that armor by just a Black Cleaver on Climber's Vi.
Woo. 2-item Aurora, by the way. That's XQW feeling it. Really interesting movement on the map there is, hold on, Monki's flying in again. Crash down Magnetic Storm. It's going to hold 2, takes at bay. The Keeper's Verdict, sidestep by Shaoye, and Monki is completely stun locked. He was expecting Tristana to fly away, but instead, Shaoye's flying forward. Reset after reset. The big bad Tristana is here to brawl, and Shaoye has got more victims to try and knock off the list. Double kill, make it a triple for the LGD AD carry.
All the eggs onto Shaoye's basket. He's been farming a storm, he's been pushing towers, he got his 2 items, and right here he's almost bailing LGD out of a disastrous early game for them. Kills going over to that Tristana, Atakan going over to LGD, and gold back swung to the side of LGD.
Gotta take a look at this replay again because you almost can see Monki's Poppy just not move after the sidestep comes across. Take a look at this. Is Monki's entire plan was just booting Shaoye out of the fight, and WE had all the chances in the world to run it, but that's why you do dodge trainer, folks, right there. Holy moly.
Yeah, I feel like YCX was blocking the top side, obviously, with his Unbreakable, right? So the ult couldn't go through the Braum, so the only chance that Monki had there was to knock the Tristana out, which Shaoye dodged. But again, I feel like from Team WE, such an overstep. What are you doing into enemy territory when you do not have vision? You're going too deep, you're not prepared to play the front to back, which is exactly what they've drafted for, right? We said, hey, the front line's gonna be impenetrable once the items come through. Just a Bramble Vest versus a 2-item Tristana with Infinity Edge is not gonna do much. And if you look at the inventory of Shaoye, the Lord Doms is soon to come as well.
Already got the components in tote. Cloud Soul still a big threat for WE, but 2.5 minutes before we have to worry about that. We're actually going to get Baron and Dragon timers syncing up here. So for 2 teams that have been really all about brawling in this series, no matter where the timers are, really important to see what these side wave allocations look like. As you see Monki hovering towards Karis' side, trying to knock down that bot tier 1 turret. They're going after the big tank Shen, crash down Magnet Storm, holding Sasi in place, and he is going to be picked off and cut down to size by Karis.
All right, that's a cool pick right here from Team WE that can actually pressure down that tower. 4 members on the map alone, and as you can see on the movement right here, you see Shaoye on the map. He has been pinged through that bush as well. They've got vision on him. He's going to have to take care of that mid lane push from the side of Taeyoon, which means that bot lane tower is going to go down in favor of WE as XQW actually responds with the tower on his own, the top of the map. So at the end of the day, you lose your top laner, and it would usually be a net positive play for Team WE if there was an objective. Because Shen's ult is super valuable, especially when you've got Yone and Vi going a little bit too deep right there. But right here, in this case, you took a Shen down, you grabbed the tower, it got responded, so it's pretty much dead even between the 2 teams.
Maybe just a little extra win that Sasa doesn't have flash to. Does burn it trying to survive, so
Sure.
a flash taunt to start off the fight. Minuscule, but important things to track as we do get into the real meat and potatoes of this game.
More Doms.
Yep, good call out. 3-item Tristana. Anyone can catch these hands or these rocket jumps, albeit there for the Tristana. Minute on the board. That's when Cloud Soul Drake spawns for WE, and Big Bad Baron comes onto the rift. So
Top
start
side?
seeing, yeah, top side plays going after Kerr. All armored up. Can he survive 1 versus 2 versus Climber? Sasa doesn't look like it, so he's trying to make the great escape. Good flash over the big wall, gets out, but Climber follows with a cease and desist. The all-out going to be burned here as Cube tries to buy more space. Dashes after dashes. Sasa doesn't have that flash to try and cut down the angle. So Cube able to survive the first cross-map play.
Yep, Cassante right there, full on armor, and you could tell that this was a questionable play, but Black Cleaver really does help with bringing down a target that's full armored up, right? And it wasn't quite enough. I don't think Vi plus Shen with just the Hydra have enough damage to take down a Cassante. Yes, they do burn through the ult and the flash from Cube, but they do burn through the ult from Vi as well, right? Because Shaoye can step forward and do this.
Oh my god. He hopped in, he burned that rocket jump, and now Shaoye has to play on the defensive. He gets the stand united, but in comes XQW, held down by the Magnus Storm. Killer Instinct through for Taeyoon. He wants the number of Shaoye. 1 auto short for finding the kill under the Tristana, but it's still a winning fight here for WE, just pushing front to back because the big bad Tristana can't step up and play on this playground with WE. Kill found, and Cloud Soul almost a guarantee in this game 4.
Again, reminder, no ulti on Vi means that players like Karis on this Aurora can get to play aggressive and dash forward, which is exactly what he did. When you do not have that point-and-click CC to pin you in place and be capitalized upon, Aurora, Kaisa can play a lot more aggressive, which is exactly what WE did. LGD spending so many resources chasing down that Cassante resulted in this replay right here. No ult on Vi, you get to play more aggressive. Shaoye rocket jumps in, Karis literally straight up on the offensive. What a fantastic Seeker's arm guard as well to dodge the knockup and the ult coming through from XQW.
Just gotta think. 1 short auto, that's full plasma stacks. If you can get it through that Braum shield, that might have just been Dragon and Baron. So LGD clinging to near tethers. Without their Tristana, they don't end up losing a lot. But picture in picture, we have another catch, and it's on to the big protector, YCX. Braum is down. LGD just not in the correct positions around these series-defining objectives, Trouble.
Baron time for WE right here. It's a 4 versus 5. No Shen ult. No Tristana ult. It's going to be up in 4 seconds. No flashes on the key carries from LGD. And they're going to look to try and see if they could potentially steal with Climber.
Oh, Vampire, you got to go now, though. You're drawing WE way too thin here, and you're setting up Climber for a 50-50. Keeper's Verdict's not going to take Climber out. He needs the Miracle Steal to give LGD a lifeline. He's not even going to Fault Breaker over the wall, though, because the Baron aggro is dropped. XQW hits 4 with a Fate sealed. They do trade mid laner for mid laner. The aggro was never dropped. Climber does not get into the pit. Secured by Vampire. Does have the cease and desist down, so he can't afford to jump after Taeyoon. And WE World Elite get 4 members with the purple banner.
Whew, that was a little bit scary right there. Climber trying to flash in, to blast going in, but Poppy W is such a potent tool to not allow this to happen as Monki, he's looking from the side, he's looking for the flank.
Oh, he's got the W up, so Shaoye can't use the rocket jump. Stadium United's coming across as well. Cube's trying to hold the front line. Very, very tanky Cassante that Shaoye can't burn through, and Vampire pops out of the fray, and he finds Shaoye! Down goes the Tristana! All bets are off! WE are going for the killer blow! It's just all about the chase down. Mouse and Cat, the Fangs are out! Taeyoon drops Climber. Sasa not gonna be able to teleport out. Monki is gonna hold them at bay, and the victory formation is going to come down the mid lane for World Elite. It's only a matter of time before the kills start lining back up.
The only remaining member, XQW. No ult, no flash, no team, and an entire WE running through your base.
LGD had to have this team marked on a bulletin board. World Elite were the ones to send them into Nirvana, send them into the lesser level of competition of LPL, and they're about to do it again. First time was their bad. Second time, it's all WE up here. They've got Baron on nearly everybody. They got the Cloud Soul. They got the base broken open. Trouble is it only 1 fight away from a series end here?
WE, they're so far ahead, right? 6,000 goal. Let's watch this one more time. Monki with the flank. He dashes in and pops the W. He doesn't need to stand Shaoye. He just cannot W out himself because he will get stuck on the Poppy W. And look at that, man. Cube is just tanking Storm. It's just so difficult for a full AD team to break through such brick
Vampire.
walls of tanks.
Again,
XQW.
Trouble. Vampire is cooking with these picks. Taeyoon
07.
has XQW. Salute him on the way out, and more so salute these turrets because they are cannon fodder for Taeyoon right now.
Yeah, still Baroned up for another 30 seconds. Cube is gonna help that mid lane wave walk inside LGD's base as Taeyoon is escorting the top side to that last outer tower remaining for the side of LGD. WE 4 versus 5 in their favor with 20 more seconds onto XQW. Can LGD hold?
LGD want to compete in Group Ascend. They want that playoff spot to show that Nirvana isn't a cut below the rest of the fray. They've got to reach in for something deep now because their base is in complete tatters. XQW will respawn here. They've got double super minions pouring into their base. While Baron does come off the board for WE, Trouble, Elder is less than a minute 30 away.
Who are you and what have you done with my WE? WE would have brawled their way to a finish right there on the Nexus. 8,000 gold lead and you're backing off. Obviously, it's the correct play, right? This is.
It is the correct play, yes, right.
It is the correct play. You take as many resources as possible. We're just joking because WE never know how to take their foot off the pedal, right? This is why we're joking right here about them. But what a flawless, fantastic last game potentially to end the series, right? Very slow, very steady, recognizing your win conditions, playing through them, scaling into that late game. You know that your armor is going to be impenetrable. Double Randuins now as well, locked in for Cassante and Monki's Poppy. Randuins almost coming through from Vampire as well on that rel. You got the Hourglass onto Aurora. You got Seeker's Arm Guard onto Taeyoon Skysa. Like,
oh, but it's XQW.
Oh,
he gets caught on the side lanes
again.
again. It's almost the same spot he fell just a minute earlier.
The block.
It's been mistake after mistake from LGD. They're in a spot with Baron and Dragon, a huge Tristan to play for, but they never, ever got to fight on even footing since then.
Oh, man. OME in the chats. XQW has been caught one too many times, and this one might just cost his team the entire series. 30 seconds dead. TP up. That can LGD hold for 30 seconds until the mid laner is back up.
Desperately trying to cover these waves with Sasa answering mid and top, knowing he has to stand united over. But we can't give this Elder. LGD, we're giving Elder Dragon to WE. I know they can't, but this is a death sentence.
Oh boy, I think it's rock versus Heads of the Mountain kind of deal. I don't think there's anywhere for LGD to go, right? You dive into the Elder, you lose 4 versus 5. You've been losing 5 versus 5. There's no way you win 4 versus 5. The Guardian Angel now purchased for Climber, and this is the last try for LGD to bring back this series, to give us silver scrapes. But is it too late? 10,000 gold separating those two teams, and WE have got the Elder Dragon in their pocket as well.
Gotta be a miracle. Who knows where it will come from, but LGD are gambling on miracles. As here comes the Elder Dub team, my lord. Shaoye almost got executed by Greybeard right there off the one Aurora combo. Sasa hits a huge Fate Sealed, set up for XQW. Stasis has all come out, but it's just not enough. The Elder Dragon, the raw damage of Karis, it's not gonna save them. Shaoye trying to kite back towards his Nexus turrets, but he's lost all of his teammates, and he'll have to watch in peril as once again, it's World Elite to establish themselves in Group Ascend and send themselves to top 8 in Split 2.
Team WE do it once again. It's a fate, right? They had to beat LGD to get into Group Ascend. They have to beat LGD to guarantee themselves Group Ascend in Split 3 and also move on to the playoffs of Split 2. At this point, they've just got their number, Slayer, and clearly they were the better team, right? We joked a little bit about them being a little bit antsy and overconfident, arrogant at times in games 1 and 2, right? Game 2, it cost them. being this arrogant and making way too many plays. But Team WE come back. Game 3, much cleaner. Game 4, the cleanest we've seen so far. And honestly, moving into these playoffs, with the teams that are waiting on the other side, you gotta be cleaning up your act. And right here through that series, they absolutely did.
Yeah, they cleaned it up as the series went on. But, Trouble, my takeaway, I'm almost disappointed because the way that Game 4 was going, we had close fights won by WE. We saw Shaoye get that huge triple kill, win a fight there for LGD. Gold was even, you know, outside the Cloud Drake stacking up here for WE. It was Dragon, it was Baron, it was the Tristana with the LDR. Everything was coming together for such a climactic fight to decide that game. We never really got it. It was just mispositionings from XQW. You saw YCX get caught before that Baron. We were robbed of a climactic, cinematic fight end of this series, and LGD are the ones that, like you put earlier, shot themselves in the foot.
I think in general we put a huge magnifying glass in the jungle, right? But I think at the end of the day, Karis was a whole caliber above XQW in that mid lane. And when you're looking at mid, you're primarily looking at mid jungle synergy as well. I felt like a lot of the way they played from the side of LGD was very disconnected. The Lee Sin, for example, with Victor, zero synergy. And I just felt like there was not much there between the mid jungle from the side of LGD. So even though Climber tried his best, I feel like XQW was not the best support for him throughout the series. I don't think he had a very good series. On the other hand, I feel like Karis had a fantastic series. And again, throughout this entire best of 5, we saw WE slowly but surely develop through the way they want to play the game. Exactly. We saw that game 4 to game 5 drafts can get a little bit wonky. I really like what they brought here, and they played it slow and steady. I mean, full AD team into 3 tanks. Team WE said, bet, we're just going to scale into armor.
Yeah, and again, what we saw in Game 3, it's not like WE are a whole different team in these 2 games. We still see that aggression, but it's measured and taken at the correct points. Monki is still flying in on this Poppy, looking for these crazy stuns. Vampire looking for these pick plays, but now they're going for it when it's allotted, when there's a timer for it, when there's a window for it. And that is what's most positive, because like you talked about, the reality now, WE, this is a huge win. This is awesome. You're top 8. You're in Group Ascend again. Here's the reality. One of the 4 Group Ascend teams at the top are going to choose to match up with you and say, and they're clearly going to mark it, Trouble. If you make mistakes, even half as bad as they looked in Game 1 and 2, you don't have a chance in the world of the upset you're looking for.
I think that we're very obsessive with diving bot lane, right? Particularly Monki and Co. down the bot lane. And I feel like you make these mistakes versus potentially, you know, Gala, Mako, Jackie Love, and Chris. You're like, you're done. You're literally done. Like, your jungle is going to be taken away. Kills will be taken away. You're never going to touch a tower ever again. And I feel like the draft definitely helped them in playing a little bit more slow and calculated in that game number 4. But I feel like we have such good takeaways, because I feel like I always say that when you're playing against teams that you know on paper are better, what EU teams do is play scaling comps. But what WE does really well is being unpredictable, being constantly aggressive, being where you don't expect them to be. Like, you don't expect people to start fighting between Dragon number 1 and Void Grubs that are spawning in such a large distance between time, right? So if you keep constantly fighting them and getting advantages, I feel like you can definitely catch them off guard. WE have that spark and that flare in them in terms of, like, it can make or break us, and it has broken them before, but it's also made them before, right? Like, that aggression is what defines them.
And now that we are here with WE locked in top 8 in the Group Ascend, or sorry, not Group Ascend, Split 2 playoffs, I want to make sure we go back down memory lane, talk about just how different of a vibe it is around this team. From Split 1, where they were, you know, looked very outclassed. People were hyped about Vampire coming in, but, you know, he, alongside with the rest of WE, disappoint. Monki comes in, and while he, you know, they didn't make it a point, Trouble, like, it was his team once he came in. It was his to helm. He raised the floor of a lot of these players, but it's also guys like Taeyoon. You pointed out Karis in this series. Cube had a pretty resounding one as well, and Vampire had his moments. Everyone else is stepping up alongside Monki's addition. It's so awesome to see what a turnaround it's been from February WE to now playoff bound May WE.
Yeah, I feel like they still have so many things to iron out, right? Specifically going into a monstrous playoffs bracket against the teams that are waiting there. But again, I feel like what defines them is not necessarily being clean, is being aggressive and constantly aggressive.
Right.
And we have seen probably teams like Top Esports fall to aggression, specifically in the early game. Like you pin them down, they'll keep making the same mistake over and over again, right? Like WE have shown that they have the caliber to take them down. I mean, their players are very, very charismatic. I just want to give a shout out to Vampire because I did put him down.
You're shouting out Vampire? What's going on? What has happened?
Okay, in games number 1, number 2, he had some very questionable engages, but I feel like, again, Monki has had such a good influence on him, right? And I feel like when Vampire started playing around Karis with Rakali, when he started playing around Monki with the Viego and later on down the line as well, I feel like he's had some pretty solid engages. Like, when this guy is good, he's really good. It's just that when you put all the decision making on him, I just don't think he is mature enough in the scene yet to be able to be that sheer shot caller that a team needs,
Right.
like that #1 shot caller, right? But he does have some really, really good qualities, and I feel like through the latter part of the series, he really did shine by supporting that mid and jungle duo.
There's still a lot of time for Vampire to develop further. Played like a really good player, had a really good day today. You know, also had a really good day today. Time to take my victory lap.
Majority of you guys.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna take my victory lap. Rafa
think
is
he's
just
cooked.
here to. He's cooked.
He's
He's
just
here to be the
cooked,
contrarian.
yeah.
So that's my victory lap. Here's Cube's victory lap. Gets
Right
the
up.
MVP on the Cassante. Can't nerf this guy away forever. We didn't really get to talk about player of the game too much, Trouble, but I think Care. I don't hate the Care pick. I think he. That fight where he pulls out Shaoye, you know, around the Drake pit was big, and he just soaked up so much damage with that armor stacking, like you were talking
Oh,
about.
for sure. I think Cube absorbed so much pressure and he just did his job right. He was the quiet carry. Someone nerf Cassante,
Yes.
please. No, okay. See, he's actually quite balanced right now.
Don't fall back into those. Yeah, don't fall back.
Funnily enough, he's actually quite balanced right now. So I feel like Cube just did his job right. I feel like it was a group effort from Team W in that game number 4. So everyone did their part and Cube deserved the praise right there.
Last thing we're going to get here through Trouble as we close out our night. Updated look at what But we won't get too ahead of ourselves. We've got 7 of our 8 teams for Group Ascend. We've got 7 of our 8 teams for the playoff. The final match will come tomorrow for Weibo versus Thunder Talk. Before we get on out of here, we got one big thank you left to Game Away Trouble. Elite Coffee supporters. Thank you very much to these 3. Aaron Soup, Mong, and Forrest. Without their pledge financial contributions, help level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you an LPL English product every single day, which we have done our best with how many games Split 2 has brought. But thank you very much, especially to those 3 individuals for your contributions over top. Trouble, that's going to do it for the second iteration of the Slayer Trouble cast. What are your final thoughts as we roll into the final match of the play-ins and we get so close to the playoffs of Split 2?
It's just very exciting. The most exciting part for me is what the top teams are going to choose to play against. Like what team they're going to choose to play against, right? It can make or break them, quite literally. Like you're thinking you're picking a very weak team. Like if Top Esports choose Team WE and WE throw their aggression at Top Esports' face. Like I've seen Top Esports lose those, right? Like we all have. We all have. So I think it's going to be really exciting that actually now the top teams get to choose who they play after, of course, tomorrow concludes the play-ins stage.
I'm with you on that one. The one thing I'll say as well is this will be the last I will be on here until we get to playoffs. Is I'm excited that towards the end of Group Ascend, we got, you know, some challengers to that top 2. The top 2 got really murky. BLG with Beichuan have looked a lot better. Night playing MVP level, and I've been really impressed with JDG with Hayes, obviously, but Shun being awesome in the jungle, and Scout starting to clean up some of his early mistakes. So don't go into the playoffs thinking that AL and TS are just destined for the grand finals. That's all I'll say for now. That will close out our show. Congratulations once more to Team WE, locking top 8 in Group Ascent in Split 3. Shout out to, most importantly, Brett behind the scenes dealing with as many silly tech issues as he could be handed across this series, but we got through it, and I am off to bed as the NAPSD gamer here. So we'll see you all guys for the last playing game tomorrow. Take care till then.